And welcome to the next episode of Chocobros Chasers. I am G. I am joined by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. Saints won. Fucking right.
Yeah,
I know.
Who
Victory
that?
Tuesday.
Yeah,
Who
we're
that, bitch?
we're coming in 2 weeks in a row with a big dub and big smiles. It's we'll see how the follow-up is when we do eventually lose a game. Hopefully not for a few more weeks though. We'll see what happens. We are, it's been a frankly insanely busy week in gaming. I feel like we've got so much news, and even just today, like there's been a ton of news, and we're gonna talk about a decent bit of that. But I think it's safe to go ahead and start the show off the way that we normally do. Go ahead and do on non-interview episodes with good old fashioned "What are you playing?" So I will go ahead and I'll actually refer to Dash this time. Dash, you're going to kick us off.
All right. So majority of my time has been Starfield still. I'm still trying to get out of the habit of, not necessarily exploring planets because I have more survey data than I can sell at this point. And I already have like 1,400,000 credits at this point also. So I don't think money's an issue. I don't think loot's an issue at this point. And I really don't care about like collecting resources because I haven't dumped any skill points into the fucking researching to even make use of them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of pointless. But I finished the entire Vanguard storyline and now I'm working my way through the Crimson Fleet one. So
What'd you think of Vanguard storyline?
it was pretty
It
good,
was
and
pretty good, man. Pretty
giving you
good.
the way you can end it, I guess, was pretty cool too. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna give it. I'm not sure if we go in spoilers territory with this yet, but
We'll save it a little bit
yeah,
just because I know we do have some people who are listening who are still playing. And yeah, there's I mean, it's I saw a tweet today that said uh Microsoft was thanking they have 10 million players at least who have played Starfield so far. So
yeah,
obviously Game Pass subscribers are
Yeah.
on the rise right now. Not that there was any doubt that that was going to be the case. I mean, unless Starfield ended up being like Redfall or something, then
it's definitely
I
not like that. I mean,
no.
there's a lot to there's a lot to do in the game. It's just kind of like you know, it depends because like with me, I'm objective oriented. I'm not like a explorer, even though I have the explorer
That's how
play.
I am too.
Yeah. But like kind of
Yeah.
like the objective for me is 100% completion kind of stuff on surveying and systems and stuff like that. I'm out of that mindset now. I'm skipping systems, I'm skipping planets. I'm going straight to wherever a mission objective is cuz I ain't got time for that. I wish leveling was a bit more quicker because I've been playing this game for so long and I'm only on like level 42 and I feel like I still have not unlocked anything in terms of skills because there's a lot of skills. And
Yeah.
I mean I think if I calculated it right, like max levels like 320 or something. If you each skill point takes 4 tiers and 4 points
Yeah.
to, so I mean yeah, I'm just gonna focus on the main faction quest at this point because I can't play this game forever with all the other shit coming out soon.
There is
So,
still a lot to come.
yep. So I'm gonna brute force my way through the Crimson Fleet, the Free Star, and the Ryujin faction quest. And once I do that, I'll just finish up the Constellation quest, and hopefully, I'll be finally done with this, and I can take a break from it and come back on New Game Plus some other time. But
Awesome.
took a break from Starfield a little bit this week, and I did dive back into Ghost of Tsushima. So I really want to try get that fully
Yes.
complete. Uh, I think I've gotten most of like the side stuff that you can do in that first little part of the island done. So like I was
You're
actually,
you're still a long way to go though.
Wait, where are you at?
I think he's in Act One.
Oh my God.
I think
like,
there's three
yeah,
acts, and
There's three
it's
acts
yeah,
and then there's DLC too.
and then there's Iki Island. Yeah,
yep. So I went through, when I started the game, I used like the traveler gear to find my way towards like all the hot springs, the fox dens, the bamboo cut things.
Mm.
And I can't do all the altars yet because I haven't gotten the grappling gear yet, but that's like literally the next story mission I unlocked. So I'll do that and probably, but I'm not gonna worry about like the Vandy gear and all that other collectible BS at this point.
honestly, in my experience when I was playing it, the Sakai armor, when you fully upgrade it, is the coolest armor in the game anyway. And it's like it's part of the story. And there is
I'm
like
assuming that's the one he's like wearing in the cover too, right?
it's
No,
actually not.
that's the ghost armor.
That's the
Okay,
ghost armor.
that's the
There's
armor
a
I want. I'm running with
yeah,
the Ronin stuff right now.
yeah. There's the House Sakai armor, and it is oh, is so sick. It is like
Yeah.
as samurai gets, and yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
also
forward
love
to
that
it.
you can like color,
Yeah, you can
each
dye the
armor the
armors and
way. Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, I found like the merchant that sells like all the white dye, so I've been kind
Yeah.
of just throwing that on stuff because I kind of like that aesthetic. But once I
yeah,
get that ghost armor, I'm going all black.
all black. Yeah, it's awesome.
Forget Anna.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Eric, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
So I played a little bit more Starfield. I really kind of took a break because it's Cyberpunk time.
It is.
I got my new game plus in, and I restarted the UC Vanguard quest line, and I'm gonna do the Freestar Rangers because I think doing Freestar. Now that I've played it once, I think going back, I kind of wish I had done Freestar because the rewards you get from Freestar
do
will
you not
help you
do
out in
do you
later
not
in the
do
game.
free star if you're already did Vanguard or
You can do all of them; it doesn't matter.
okay? It sounded like you get locked out, so that's what I was curious
No, you
on.
don't.
Okay.
So you can go straight. Honestly, I'd recommend doing Freestar before you do Crimson Fleet. Even though Crimson Fleet's my favorite,
Yeah, I'm already
the
in the middle
reward
of
you
Crimson.
yeah, the reward well it's a fantastic quest line, but the reward you get from it for the Freestar Collective is pretty sick.
Okay.
And so but it's Cyberpunk 2.0 time come what tomorrow or is that Thursday?
Next day, I think Thursday. So
Thursday.
I think it'll be available tomorrow evening. And
Ooh.
so with the day that this pod launches, it'll be the day of Cyberpunk launch. And so yeah, I'm getting ready for that 2.0 update. I wish you'd be able to preload it so bad.
Yeah.
Because that would be cool. And I would really like to get my 2.0 play in because people are actually able to talk about 2.0 right now. And Paris, I don't know if you guys follow him. He's a collaborator with Kind of Funny Games. He has said that one, graphically, the game is a major improvement, which is insane because the game was already one of the
Yeah.
best looking
Beautiful.
games.
Yep.
And he to be fair, he is also running it on like a very high end PC. So we'll see on console. I'm sure there is probably some updates, and I'll actually be playing it on console because I always like first person shooters, which I mean it kind of is, I guess, but it's the first person and just like the style of game it is. It always like works better with a controller for me. So yeah, man, I cannot wait.
Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. I think I'm gonna run the same playthrough I did just so I get the full experience again.
I like
Finish
how
it.
CD Projekt Red even says that they're recommending doing a whole new playthrough with the
Yeah,
Yeah.
2.0 patch because that's showing it's a significantly new game with this content.
I
yeah.
wonder if a lot of it. So apparently, that cutscene you get with Jackie in the beginning of Act One,
Mm-hmm.
where it shows y'all doing a whole bunch of stuff, that was apparently all cut content that they fast forwarded because they had to get the game out quicker.
Yeah,
So I wonder if you get to play that part,
it'd be
and
interesting.
it's actually like an extended like Act
Intro.
One, yeah, intro
Yeah,
act
it would
would
be
be
a
pretty
lot. I think
awesome.
it'd be a lot cooler. And I mean, Cyberpunk is going to be a game of like a lot of what ifs, I think, forever, because originally they had planned on two expansions. And then just, I mean, based on obviously the feedback and everything, they wanted to make sure the game was better, more playable, and then decided to kind of combine the ideas for both expansions into one. And that's what we've got with Phantom Liberty. So it, I could not be more hyped to play a game that I've
Yeah,
already played through like 3 or 4
I know.
times.
That's how I feel about it too, man. I'm excited.
It's gonna be a good one. Uh, I am. I actually took a break from Starfield. I hit a point, and I feel like I was still pretty early on. but I just wasn't having as much fun. And I'm a little worried that I've hit my Bethesda like radar going off in my brain, like, hey, this is a lot like those other games you played. Um, I am gonna give it another shot because I think it deserves that, and I think I may just not be far enough in to really be taking it all in. So, but I'm gonna not force it upon myself and then turn it into a situation where it's like, man, I don't like this game very much. So I decided to try and 100% Spider-Man before Spider-Man 2 comes out. And that includes all of the DLCs, which includes Black Cat, Silver Sable, Hammerhead, and yeah, I'm just playing this game again, and I'm just like, this game is so incredible. And at this point, only trophies I have left are to play on the hardest difficulty on New Game Plus, but I'll still get all of my gear and all that kind of stuff. Everything's fully upgraded, so it's like I can do this. But so yeah, so I've been playing that a lot. Been playing a little bit of COD. I actually started Lies of P, and as someone who is a Soulsborne fan, but I wouldn't say that I'm a fanatic. There are games that I really adore in that style, and then games that I just detest. And like on the detest side, I do not like
Lords of the Fallen.
Sekiro.
Oh,
I absolutely hate Sekiro because I think that its learning curve is ridiculous. I think Soulsborne games are hard, but they're usually fair. Sekiro just feels unfair and not fun.
Sekiro is a hard game. Very frustrating.
I can't do it. So, and this is coming from like I've beaten Ornstead and Smaug in Dark Souls 1, which are the hardest bosses I've ever fought in any game ever. Beat Bloodborne. I have not beaten Elden Ring, but I've gotten pretty damn far. Beat Demon Souls, and yeah, Liza P feels so much like Bloodborne. It's kind of weird. Like it feels like almost plagiaristic. Like just the way that they have the world set up, the feel, it is very Lovecraftian, but instead of like the Lovecraftian, it's almost steampunk-esque. Because there's a lot of like robots and things that you're fighting as opposed to like, these terrifying creatures, almost, mind flayers almost. And yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. It looks really good. It feels good. It is very hard, but it is fair. So that's kind of the main things that I've been playing this week. And also Resident Evil 7. Decided to get into the spooky mood a little bit early. This is my first time actually playing the PS5 version of it, and it looks really good. And it is just as terrifying as I remember. Man, this game was such a return to form for Capcom. I cannot believe how well they did. I remember the second half of the game gets a lot more action oriented, and I'm not there quite yet. So I'm still, hanging out with our buddy Jesse Pimentel, aka Lucas Baker, and so it's a lot of fun. But yeah. So moving into some of our more current news, Mortal Kombat 1 is out today. Dash, I know that you picked it up. Have you started playing it yet?
No, I did already download it on my PlayStation. My plan was kind of just like I was going to focus on that once I got more progress on Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
But, trying to balance out my time with a bunch of games, it's not fun.
2023 is just the year of gaming. So it's.
Can we stop getting good games?
Don't say that, because then we're going to get a year like 2021 where there was like nothing coming out.
Yeah, it's going to be depressing.
Yeah. So Mortal Kombat 1 has gotten some pretty solid reviews. When I looked at Metacritic, it was sitting at about an 85, which is, that's a great score. It's a little bit lower than Street Fighter got earlier this year. So coming in a little bit lower on the fighter game rankings for the year. We do still have Tekken coming out as well. So it's been a great year for fighting games. And I think Tekken technically launches in the beginning of 2024, but
January.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And so, but it's definitely been an interesting time to be able to go ahead. If you're a fan of that genre, you're eating good right now. One thing I did want to call out is, and we've posted a few screenshots. Our personal Discord is the screenshots of the Mortal Kombat 1 port for Switch is
bad.
It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. For a game that is brand new. What's funny is that Mortal Kombat 11 looked pretty good on the Switch. It didn't. Digital Foundry did a video talking about it, and they were pretty impressed actually with how well it was ported, and especially with the limitations that the Switch provides. Mortal Kombat 1 unfortunately did not get the same treatment, it appears. People are pretty happy with a lot of the new game mechanics, the cameo mode and the like. And so it definitely seems like a mode or a game that's, it's Mortal Kombat. It's going to be one of the most popular fighting games basically until the next iteration comes out. And they've done a great job getting their, DLC packs. And we've already seen the first one with Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacemaker, and getting the actors for these actual roles to reprise them in this game is a huge plus. J.K. Simmons is apparently the video game now, so that apparently we got to get him on the pod after his Baldur's Gate 3 and soon to be Mortal Kombat 1 appearance. So, Dash, anything else you wanted to hit on MK1 wise?
Yeah, I wonder if the difference between like MK1 and MK11, I mean, MK11 came out during the PS4 era, and technology between the PS4 hardware and Switch wasn't as great as the divide as it was. Mortal Kombat 1's solely a next gen title.
Yeah.
So there's probably another level of difficulty bringing that to Switch, and that's probably the reason why. But I mean, it's another showcase of why the Switch needs a whole new console at this point, because they can't keep up.
And especially, go ahead.
Especially if they want third-party titles going forward.
Well, and it's been rumored very heavily in leaks and a lot of different info that a Switch successor is coming, and could potentially rival PlayStation 4, Xbox One level performance, which would be a huge step up from where they're at. I mean, it'd be awesome to see, Zelda in a more grounded look and grounded graphics. Like that would definitely be something. But obviously Mortal Kombat is a game that really needs that kind of thing. So
with Megan Fox as Natara, I'm not sure if you've heard those clips, but I'm not one to shame someone for their performance, but it's not good.
We've been blessed is probably the right word to talk with a lot of actors in this space who are so insanely talented. Sam Bayard, Doug Cockle, just to name a few. Like those two are people who are just so in tune with their craft. Megan Fox is, I'm sure she is a fine person, and I'm not here to disparage her in any way, shape, or form. But Dash, you brought up the point in our chat that someone else is doing the like grunts and the fighting sounds. It's like, why don't you just let that person voice the character? Because
especially when she's a accomplished, talented voice actress herself.
Yeah. And it just seems odd that you would go out of your way to cast this person. I mean, it doesn't seem odd. It's obviously to try and help push sales, and you're fighting Megan Fox in Mortal Kombat. Like, yeah, I get that, but it's it was the same thing with the lady who played Sonya Blade in
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey. I think
people are saying that Ronda Rousey did a better job, at least, though. So that's it's kind of like you're seeing the difference between an actor and a voice actor. Like, Megan Fox is an actress. She doesn't have a vocal range. So when she does her voice, it's her voice. It's not a character. And that's unfortunately what it is.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is. I mean, there's not really anything that we can control from that point. But so going on to our next topic here, We're talking about Nintendo Direct. Eric literally before the show was like, I don't care about Nintendo Switch games. And I'm kind of in the same
I
boat
have one.
because
I mean,
he
it's
has one. I
just
don't even have one. But
Yep, I have
it's
one.
like it's fine enough, it's just I guess it's just I must not be their target market,
you're
I
not.
guess. Like I like Zelda, don't get me wrong, love them. I just don't like much else. Like I've tried Fire Emblem, it's not my thing.
I like Fire Emblem. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
very
and that's
family
okay.
oriented.
And yeah, and like I don't even mind that. Like I have Switch Sports, I tried it, but it's nowhere near as good as Wii Sports. Like it's just not close.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. Like I don't really like handheld. Like I don't play mobile games. So like I guess I feel like if I'm trying to hold it, like I've never even played it. I've played it maybe 5 minutes handheld. It's only been in the dock when I've played it for extended periods of time. I just
Wow.
don't enjoy it.
Yeah, that's actually pretty surprising. Some of the things that they did go ahead and announce though. So Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door, which is a very acclaimed. I think it came out on the GameCube originally.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
GameCube.
So turn-based RPG for Mario, which is, I mean, obviously they're seeing a pretty significant comeback of that with Super Mario RPG also being remade. Mario versus Donkey Kong. Splatoon is getting DLC. Super Mario RPG got another look. The new Princess Peach game. So a lot of very family, like, and maybe even children kind of focused games. And but just like Eric said, like it's not necessarily that's we are basically giant children, so we are kind of still that target audience. But it just, I don't know. These also just feel like games as well that don't necessarily push games forward. And maybe I'm being a little harsh there. But it just, like Luigi's Mansion 2 in HD, a lot of companies are just going so heavy in the remake and remaster like operation. One thing that Dash did go ahead and mention prior to our recording, which it actually is really exciting to take away from this, Tomb Raider 1 through 3 being remastered, but that's not a Switch exclusive. That's actually coming to all consoles and PC as well, I believe. And one of, gaming's most celebrated mascots is probably the wrong word, but she is kind of just a mascot for gaming in general. I know she was for PlayStation, especially in the early days as well. But Lara Croft, getting her flowers, that's actually pretty cool. So definitely excited to see that. Dash, was there anything else that you kind of, were looking at from that direct that, has you hyped aside from Tomb Raider?
The Unicorn Overlord game looked pretty interesting. It looks like it's kind of like a strategy army manager kind of thing, but then when you go into combat, it's kind of like not. It's like kind of like turn-based. You have your troops here and their troops here, and looks like there's an interesting like combat system there. And I think they mentioned something like you'll have like 70 unique characters that you'll be able to assemble in these armies or something, or maybe I'm
That's
thinking of a
cool.
different game. But it look, I'm a sucker for these like strategy RPG games, so
Yeah.
I'll enjoy that. F099, for some reason we're getting we finally get a new F-Zero game, and it's free to play battle royale type game that's maybe they're going to use it as a gauge to see interest in F-Zero. I don't know why you would need to do this
That's
because
not.
there is interest in F-Zero. People have been asking for a new one for years, so I don't know why we're trying to gauge that interest. It's the same thing with Dino Crisis. It's like, give us a new Dino Crisis, give us a new F-Zero game. We want those. We don't want this like DLC or
Yeah.
little.
But I mean, it's also a bad game to gauge
Looks
in
like a mobile game.
F-Zero. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a bad gauge too because people want to see a new F-Zero game. Like graphics have come so far since the last like legitimate F-Zero game, and from gameplay mechanics to graphics to new characters, like there's so much untapped potential there, and they just refuse to go ahead and utilize it. So
yep.
it's
Also, since I'm a fan of the anime, the Spy Family game looks cute, looks fun. I mean, it's if you ever seen the anime, it's kind of an interesting concept where it's like a dude who's a spy basically sets up a fake family. So he ends up marrying this girl who actually is like secretly an assassin. And they adopt this kid that has like psychic powers to go into like a school of the elite so that she can get close to his target's child so that he can get information through her doing that. So it's an interesting concept.
Which is very
So
interesting.
I mean, it's one of those games where I think there's going to be a lot of like fun stuff to do with it. I mean, it's not like a Namco Bandai copy paste fighting game for an anime at least. So
There
it's
is
something
that.
different.
So, no, that's actually a great point. So in addition to the Nintendo Direct this week, we also got a PlayStation State of Play, and Eric had a really good comment right before we started recording about how it feels like we've had a lot of these recently. And Eric, I think the reason that you're kind of bringing that up is that we've had a ton of these, but it's a lot of it with like zero substance. Yes, we've got
one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Just put everything out all at once.
Well, and even just a teaser doesn't hurt. Ghost to whatever. Let's assume it's The Last of Us Part 3 for Naughty Dog, and also their multiplayer project. We'll be getting to that a little bit later in the show, but there's the Wolverine game is supposed to come out next year from Insomniac, and I get that you want to like focus on Spider-Man because it comes out in a month, but at the same time, like post Spider-Man, what does PlayStation have on the horizon after? So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was also shown in this, and oh my god, it looks so good. It looks absolutely incredible. It was absolutely the highlight of the show. This State of Play started off with the strangest game that I can remember in recent history too. It's a walking simulator, and I know the Death Stranding jokes will come out, but this is like a legitimate
It's like an actual walking simulator.
Yeah, like you have to like learn to. It's like a baby giraffe legs, like trying to figure out how to walk and get up like muddy hills. And
reminds me of that one game where you're like the track runner and you have to use those keys to play. I'm not sure if you ever played that Flash game on browser.
I don't think so.
You can do like the wackiest stuff because of like one button like controls like the lower leg, one controls the upper leg, and then you have another for the other leg. So and like some people are actually really good at that where they can actually get this person to sprint, but other people are just kind of
just like they look like Gumby basically.
Another interesting thing about Baby Steps is it's made by the same people that did that Getting Over It game where you like climb like the super tall obstacle course.
Are you serious?
Yes. So they like their tedious games where it's just so ridiculous.
Oh my
god. It might be fun for a subset, but I can't see myself playing it.
My god. Yeah, that is. It was just one of the strangest games that we have
fucking internet
ever seen.
I was gonna say I saw Eric. I saw Eric joining, and I'm like, "There, what?
Yeah, I sent you a message in Discord. I was like, I'm so fucking mad. Just now, I was like, what the fuck? We started talking about walking simulators, and I just said, "Fuck it, I'll go walk for real."
He said, "Fuck this."
Enough of this. We're not gonna be playing it. Or at least I'm not. So
I am certainly not playing it.
I am excited to play the Avatar game. Like it looks
immense,
beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna get that. I don't know if I'm gonna get it day one. Depending on what's out around December 7th. Something popped up about, and we talked about it, and I can't remember, but it's like another CRPG dash. What was the name of that damn game?
Rogue Trader?
Yes.
Yeah, that the Warhammer 40K one.
Yes.
That wasn't in the PlayStation showcase, was it?
No, but it popped up, and this is just around the same time. Look, my internet's fucked up, dude, so is my brain.
Eric said, you know what, just go.
We're going off the rails here.
Yeah.
People.
Hell yeah. I mean, that is going to be a great game because it's made by Owlcat and they did the Pathfinder games.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it because I love 40K as a property. And it's interesting to get like an RPG set in that setting instead of just like a strategy game or an action game or some sort of art. No, they did have RPGs like the Inquisitor, which was like a action RPG, but this is more of a
This is
traditional
full
like
on RPG. Yeah.
yeah. I'm excited for that one, so
Yeah,
we'll have
it's
to
gonna be
wait for more to come out on that so we can do another deep dive once we get that information.
I derailed us. That's my bad, boys.
no, bro, you're good. Uh, so yeah, I mean, not a ton to kind of go ahead and recap from this showcase. It left a lot to be desired. I mean, Spider-Man looks immense. I literally didn't even have to see anything else for it. It looks awesome.
We were already sold on this game. I don't know why
Yeah,
you keep
like I really just feel like they could have announced all this stuff over the summer. Like new console skins, new controller skins. Like, what's the point of waiting like 2 months, 3 months after your showcase to announce this stuff?
Yeah,
I don't think it does them any benefit. I think if they had done
like
it all while the hype was there for these showcases, I think it might have been better off for them.
is this supposed to be their second showcase of the year, or is there going
I
to be
don't think
like
I think there's supposed to be another legitimate
Okay.
showcase.
because they need a showcase for first party titles, and they need because this one they specifically said was for
Third party.
already announced projects too. So there's no surprises, nothing to go like, wow, that's cool. Because we already knew this stuff was coming. We knew what the games are there. We want like kind of like those surprise reveals. Holy shit, this is actually coming. This is going to be a thing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna be. I feel like they have to have another like legitimate showcase.
Yep.
So we'll have to wait and see. This one got announced in a very short notice too, like a day or two prior, I feel like, which is very unlike PlayStation. Usually they'll give like a week or two in advance, and
They did it like
the hype
shortly after
build.
Nintendo announced theirs too. It was like Nintendo's was like at noon, and then PlayStation like, oh yeah, we're gonna do ours at 5.
Yeah, just overall kind of weird vibes going on. One thing that wasn't on our slate to talk about, but I did want to go ahead and dive into it as well, is also Tokyo Game Show is this week. So a lot of cool information coming out. Square Enix is going to be there. Capcom's going to be there. A lot of Resident Evil 4 separate ways. Resident Evil 4 VR info is going to be there. Very, very excited. There was actually a leak, and I don't know if it's necessarily a leak, but somebody analyzed the trailer that they saw for Separate Ways. When it showed Wesker and the computer screen he's looking at, it does show Africa, and who appears to be Excella, who's one of the main characters from Resident Evil 5, is on the screen. So while a lot of people are maybe potentially hoping for Code Veronica as the next remake, I am one of those people because I haven't given it like a legitimate playthrough because it's just not, didn't love playing it the first time I tried it. And I would love a more, souped up version in a remake fashion, even if they put like the Resident Evil 3 remake team on it, wouldn't necessarily be super upset. But Resident Evil 9 is probably obviously in the works as well. So very curious to see kind of, I don't think there's going to be any major surprises from them for this one. Square Enix, I'm holding out hope that we get just a little Kingdom Hearts 4 tease. I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful.
It looks like their panel is going to be 2 hours long too, so
that's a lot of fucking games to talk. So didn't want to cover that too much because it's we'll definitely dive into it a little bit more next week after we have seen a lot of those games and hopefully get a little bit more info. Maybe Capcom finally comes through with Dino Crisis. It won't happen, but I can dream.
Yeah, the only crisis we get now are midlife crisis.
Another thing,
quarter life crisis. We're not midlife.
I'm not sure if you had it on your notes, but Square Enix has a new president too, with their focus seems to be on HD games, bringing new bringing franchises into AAA, like old franchises in AAA.
You're getting Dino Crisis, boys.
Oh, that's
Capcom.
This is Square.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
Parasite Eve could be the hope there, though.
You're still getting Dino Crisis.
I think so. I do think it is going to happen at some point. I think that there is. You have and it's not like there's just like a lot of people, but there's like famous people in gaming who are publicly calling out saying like, it's the same thing with Legacy of Kain. Those are kind of the two I feel like that get mentioned a lot, and for good reason. I mean, they're both incredible games and helped shape kind of what gaming is today. And everybody knows that if you just gave like a fresh take on both of those franchises, it would be immense. Like it's not rocket science to say like, hey, this is going to be great. So one bit of kind of sad and disheartening news that we got this last week: Stig Asmussen, who has been the head at Respawn from EA, is leaving the studio, which is a huge blow. EA has been this studio that everybody has loved to shit on for the last decade, and for good reason. Whether it be the whole DLC, whether it be making their games that are just copy and paste of each other, it's, they were in a really shitty place. And what's crazy is that they were in this shitty place and they still got handed the rights to make a Star Wars game. And to make a Star Wars game when they had never made a game like this ever before. And Respawn, who had only made Titanfall and Apex Legends up to this point, comes through and creates Jedi Fallen Order, which was a resounding success. It's a great game with one of the coolest scenes in gaming that, if you haven't played, is just absolutely awesome towards the end of the game.
Fallen Order's been out so long. It's the scene with Vader. It's the scene with Vader at the end.
Darth Vader. Yeah.
It's Rogue One fucking levels of awesome.
It's awesome. And just he's so imposing. Like, one thing that they did really, really well in that game that a lot of media doesn't is Darth Vader is ginormous. He's like 7 feet tall and just so imposing. It looks like fucking Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. And they did such a good job of making him feel that way in that game. And so, and then obviously it got the sequel earlier this year in Jedi Survivor. I'm not going to spoil what happens in said game, but it definitely sets itself up for a third game. And so it's definitely just kind of disheartening because Stig really led the charge for EA's revival. And EA has, I mean, they've done pretty well actually since Fallen Order. They've kind of redeemed themselves a little bit. BioWare is making another Mass Effect, and they're bringing back legacy characters from the original trilogy.
There's a question about the downsizing BioWare, though.
There is a question, and part of that is due to the fact that some of their games haven't been very profitable, and we've discussed that at length. Part of it can be due to you deciding to launch a brand new IP in the middle of the heaviest game release year that we may have ever had, and also launching it in between the two biggest titles of the year.
Yeah.
That
wasn't BioWare though. That was just
no, but I'm talking more broadly EA.
Yeah.
But BioWare is definitely doing some downsizing, and part of that may be because there's the development cycle in between games is so long, and that it costs to go ahead and develop that game, and you're not raking in any profit during that time.
It's been what, 6 years since Andromeda?
Right.
And in the Legendary Collection that came out like 3 years ago, I think.
4 years
came
ago.
Came out during COVID.
First time playing Mass Effect, changed my life.
So good.
Yeah, it's
I was
one of those games.
in high school, man. I was in high school. It just.
Yeah, well, a buddy of mine, shout out John if you're listening, told me about the games and was like, man, I just have a feeling like you'd love it. And I had never really just gotten the opportunity. I'd seen all the memes and everything, and I'm Commander Shepard. This is my favorite shop on the Citadel. I didn't have an Xbox, so I couldn't play the original titles, and I didn't want to jump into Mass Effect 3 while not having played the original ones. And so when Legendary Edition came available, I bought it day one, and I'm so glad that I did, because what a game, what a trilogy. And they did a really great job upscaling it. I mean, it still felt like an older game for sure, but and there were definite signs that it was an older game in terms of its graphics and everything, but just immense. And so just kind of going along with, EA, like they have had this revival. It does seem like we're in a little bit of a down period for them. I'm hoping that they can go ahead and shake it because they do have some immensely talented folks over there. And then I'm interested to see what happens at Respawn now that Stig is gone, and we're gonna just have to wait and see.
So I wonder if the downsizing at EA had anything to do with him deciding to leave. Did Respawn take
it definitely could be. I don't know for certain. That's definitely something to maybe look into. Because I mean, we've seen multiple studios from EA go ahead and have downsizing. I want to say that Immortals of Avium, their studio is owned by EA as well, and they had to, I mean, they laid off half their staff, which is after your first game, that's never
unfortunate.
It's never what you want to see. I mean, none of us were terribly surprised that it didn't perform well, but again, that goes back to deciding to launch your game in the middle of probably the worst period that you potentially could have. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens on their front. I would imagine that a Star Wars game is probably going to be the next thing that is coming out of there. Obviously, they have ongoing stuff going on with Apex, and Titanfall 2 just got its first update in like 3 years this week.
And it's got a bunch of question marks for a game type too.
Yeah. So gotta wonder if there's maybe something like Apex related, or I mean, I don't want to say it, but Titanfall 3, maybe? Like,
hell yeah.
It would be awesome because I would play the shit out of that game. But one of those things, we just have to wait and see.
I think we need a good multiplayer game.
We do.
Good multiplayer shooter.
That's not Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's just recycled, I mean, look, it's got its market. I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2. I think I've got 200 hours on my Steam account with it. I had a lot of fun, but I think it is time for something to kind of
knock it off its pedestal a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe if they're smart, they won't release it around the same time as a new Call of Duty when it's coming out. If they come out with a Titanfall 3, might help them.
So one thing that was really kind of a lighter piece of news that got touched on last week is Hades 2 is going into early access, which is amazing. Dash, you have not played Hades, right?
Nope.
I want to smite you right now.
I bought it like last week, I think, because it was on sale. So
it's awesome. It's
I never played Hades either.
Oh man, you guys are missing out. One of the best roguelikes I've ever played. You can do a playthrough in probably 2 hours, but it gets difficult.
I think it's a very dangerous game type for me because I do dump a lot of hours into these kind of games.
I can tell you, like, the voice acting is on point. The characters are great, especially Eric. I think you'd have an appreciation for it as a history buff.
Mm-hmm.
There is like all of
these... Is it just Greek mythology?
It is, yeah. Ooh, and every like major Greek mythological character is in the game.
Oh, no shit.
So Achilles, Patroclus, obviously Hades, and you play as Hades' son, Zagreus, and the idea is to make it out of the underworld. And every time you fail, you just start at the beginning and you have to try, and there's like 3 or 4 stages, and then at the very end you fight Hades. And
I'm assuming it's kind of like semi-randomized too, right?
It is. So there are different things that come into play. So like the bosses can be different at the end of each kind of chapter, and the different like power-ups and things that you can get are really, really fun. And also just like they're different power-ups from different gods that are watching and want you to succeed in getting out of the underworld. But I would highly, highly recommend both of you play it if you haven't, because it is like the year it came out, it was a game of the year contender. And when I first heard that, I was like, what? Like this little indie game But it is well deserved. It is awesome.
Is this one part? I'm watching the clip. It's like a little GIF of this. Does this dude have a machine gun?
Did you just say GIF?
That's actually how it's supposed to be said.
I don't. Is that what you said though?
I say GIF.
Yeah,
I
I
fucking
always
hate you
I
guys.
always said GIF, but then
Oh,
there's gonna be some fucking nerd who goes, oh, he said it wrong. He said it wrong.
is it
So
graphics?
no,
It's
look. I'm on your side,
okay, but
and
you didn't say it though.
I understand that. I pronounce it how it's supposed to be pronounced, but apparently the guy who made it says GIF. So I'm trying
Fuck
to,
that guy.
GIF's
Fuck.
a peanut, but you know what? I'm going back to it. GIF. Fuck you, guy.
I
Fuck
want
you, guy who
the
made this fucking thing up.
I'm still saying GIF, and I don't care.
put in that.
That's a peanut butter dash. You know what?
Yeah, put in that Uncle Baby Billy meme. Go outside, nerd.
Bye, GIF peanut
Like,
butter.
It's Uncle Baby Billy's Bible Bonanza.
yeah. If you haven't watched Righteous
Righteous
Gemstones,
Gemstones. You're doing
it
yourself a
is
disservice.
probably one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
It's on my list.
Danny McBride's in his bag on that one.
Oh,
I always love Danny
everyone
McBride.
is. So kind of unheralded this week. I want to say it's Thursday of this week. The Last of Us Day is coming up, and we have not had anything The Last of Us related in a while. And this, or not this week, sorry, September 26th. So it'll be a week from today, actually. So maybe by the time we're talking about this on the pod next week, we've got something very, very interesting to talk about. But I just think that right now would be the perfect time for the reasons that Eric kind of talked about earlier in the show. Like, we haven't seen anything that's not immediate. Okay, I don't need to know that this Last of Us multiplayer game is coming out like next summer. It could be next winter, it could be just in development. I mean, we know it's in development, right? But just show us something. Show us that The Last of Us 3 is in development. Show us a new IP. Whatever you're working on, give us a tease. Because I think that's been one of the harder parts. Like, yes, Microsoft revealed a lot of these games way too early, but we knew they were there. And so with every big showcase and every like big thing they were doing, we were hoping these games were going to be there. And I mean, here's your chance. Go ahead and capitalize, because if it's just more, HD screenshots and wallpapers, like I do not fucking care. I would like to just see what you're working on, and I think that's fine. Like, doesn't have to be coming out immediately, but something that we'll talk about a little bit more next week. I'm sure I'm just going to show up disappointed because I feel like I'm setting things up. It's not like we're asking, release all brand new games all the time. Like, no, just give us a little tease. That's literally all. So
maybe with Halloween Horror Nights being Last of Us themed, we get something.
It would be cool. So speaking of Microsoft, Jesus Christ, like, this has been the most disorganized
That's
entire
a fumble
thing.
and a half.
Yeah.
Fumble and a half. So
Microsoft had a lot of information leaked today. And when I say a lot, I mean
everything.
Lot. So I'm actually getting it pulled up right now just so I can make sure that I have key things covered. So, and the funny part about it is the FTC was like, yeah, we didn't leak it. That was Xbox's fault. So it, and they went ahead and they deleted this PDF, but the damage is done. So in some of the documents that went ahead and leaked, there were some actually very exciting bits of information. Some of those things are that we are getting an Oblivion remaster, which I know Eric is absolutely hyped for.
That and Fallout, hype for both of them.
Fallout 3 is also getting a remake. Also a new entry in the Doom series, which is not, it's not unsurprising. But it very much welcomed. Its software is kind of the king of gunplay right now. And one thing that we actually talked about well before the Xbox showcase earlier this year, would Microsoft potentially look at creating a non-console console, basically just like a Fire Stick you can plug into your TV? It sounds like that's actually in development potentially alongside the next iteration of Xbox. And I'm curious, because if you're somebody who has like, gigabit internet and you can support it, it would make a lot of sense, especially if you have a family. Consoles take up room, they take up ports, and TVs are only have like 2 to 3 HDMI ports. So it's interesting. But this is just a huge, Eric mentioned, just a huge bag fumble on the side of Microsoft. So I wanted to get your guys' take just on all of the leaks and kind of everything that got posted today.
Definitely didn't take the time to peruse it all. I kind of left it to people smarter than me to summarize what was important out of it. But it's kind of funny because apparently this is information that they didn't need to provide for that whole trial. So this is like all stuff that they could have kept under wraps. But I think there's some
Someone's fired. Someone's fired for sure.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to find the tweet, but I think someone was talking, kind of just like, oh yeah, they kind of are trying to slip out the whole idea of disc and backwards compatibility and gaming and stuff like that. Like, if I have this whole physical library, I'm not going to be able to play it because they're trying to focus on the virtual database, right?
Right. I don't think it's a bad idea to make discless consoles, but I think that you should always have the ability as a console provider to provide even like an external drive for discs, because I think that discs will always be something that like people will want to give as gifts. GameStop and the entire kind of secondary market for video game selling is wholeheartedly reliant on that, and retro gaming stores. Like, so I don't necessarily think, I know that the console makers themselves probably do want to move to an all digital, because then you don't lose out on any sort of market share when it comes to, people can't buy your games secondhand. They also can't capitalize on sales elsewhere. And that's specifically the reason I bought a physical drive, PS5, so that I can take advantage of physical sales. With the digital, I was specifically only limited to the PlayStation Store, which, they have fine sales, but it's like, I want to
I
keep
wish
my
I had
options
gone.
open.
I wish I had gone disc version.
Yeah, it's well, and potentially it sounds like they may be coming out with
they are. They've said it.
with like
It's
a new one with a removable disk drive, and that is whether. But the question is that going to be compatible with the original PS5s? And so I don't know.
I was thinking, I'm like, I've had the PS5 for a couple of years now, and I've only bought one 4K Blu-ray in the entire time I've had it.
So I'm not two.
Yeah,
but
I bought Final Fantasy VII A Bit Children. That's all I got.
Me too. Yeah. No, that's actually pretty awesome. No, the other one that I own Jurassic Park.
Like the original.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie of all time. So
how's that look in 4K?
It's awesome. Would 10 out of 10 would recommend. But yeah, so the Xbox leaks have been, and Phil Spencer saying that he wants to buy Nintendo.
That was the one that really got me. I'm like, they barely were able to
They
acquire
barely
Activision.
let you buy Activision.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to let you buy the biggest,
the
family
biggest
game.
Eastern, the biggest Eastern side gaming company. Come on,
never in a million years are they going to let that happen? Like, you think they were worried about you becoming a monopoly with Activision and Blizzard? Like, yeah, it would never.
I
Ever,
mean,
ever
I guess it kind of makes sense because, like, I can't think of, like, Fox was a big film company and so is Disney, but somehow Disney was still able to acquire Fox.
And I still can't believe that they let that happen, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because Disney has purchased some of the biggest, like, production and film companies in the world with really, I feel like, no pushback from any sort of regulatory people.
And so I'm trying to think of what major film companies are still out there that compete with them. I can only think
Warner
of
Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers and Universal. Those are like the only. And I actually wait, is Universal? Yeah, Universal is kind of associated with Warner Brothers, aren't they?
I don't know.
It's
I
hard.
think they actually might be separate, but even still, that's still three. Like, and so that there were four, and you let one buy one of the other ones. It just doesn't equate to me.
And didn't Disney buy MGM early on too, like years ago? Because it used to be MGM Studios at Disney World, and now it's Hollywood.
I can't think of that one at least.
I don't know.
Because I haven't seen an MGM logo.
Now we hear that they might be trying to sell to Apple or something.
Yeah, there's Apple or Disney's trying to offload a lot of their.
That was in '85 at Disney licensing contract. Okay.
So, we're getting a little bit off track here.
Man, way off track. Yeah.
So we wanted to for the last topic of the show tonight, we actually had a really, really fun topic that we wanted to discuss. We are in the midst of football season this year, and we're all Saints fans. That's actually how we met, in case you didn't know. And sports games are kind of a interesting spot because Madden is the, premier football game that releases on a yearly basis, but one thing I think that we all have issues with is their annual release cycle, because the game gets released and it's typically not majorly different than the iteration that came before it. If you buy, a Madden once every 3 to 4 years, you probably do actually see some, like, significant changes. But ultimately right now, I mean, graphically, you're not seeing major changes. Gameplay wise, you'll see like 1 or 2 new features, and a lot of the time it's actually a feature that they had in a game like 10 years ago that they just decided to take out, and now they're re-adding. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the release cycle that is kind of plaguing current generation sports, I guess specifically Madden in this case.
I mean, yeah. And I think FIFA used to be pretty good too, but then FIFA started kind of going down the same hole that Madden was, where they kind of just got lazy and didn't really improve or innovate at that point. Because I think,
Was FIFA a separate studio? Used to be NCAA was made by EA Tiburon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe Madden was too at one point.
I think it was. Madden was.
The only annual sports game I have no problems with is MLB The Show. I think that's probably one of the better of the annual releases. They put a lot of effort into their game as it is.
Yeah,
the whole play as your character and you progress. You go through like the baseball tryouts and
well, and one thing I think that they have done is they've tried to not RPG their game. Like, I don't fucking care about like what my agent thinks, or like if I'm creating a character, I just want to play as my character, and like that's it. And so,
I mean, MLB The Show does kind of do that though, where you can
a little bit,
you make decisions, you can like relate, you can strengthen your relationship with other players on your team, and that kind of like gives you stat boost when you're interacting with them, kind of stuff.
But it'll be like one question it'll ask you, and then it moves you on. This is like 5-minute cutscenes where you're like, this person bought you a house, and it's like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this house. I just want to play my game. Like,
Yeah. Like I know Madden really tries to do it with the face of the franchise stuff, but oh my God, I can't stand
It's
the
bad.
face. Yeah.
it's just
Like
not good.
like they put little effort. Like you do like maybe a couple questions, there's a lot of cutscenes, and then you play the game like normal. Like there's no point in doing it really, because after you do those special scenarios, there's nothing, because they get you in with a hook, and that's it.
Madden 05 used to have a radio show on the franchise
So good.
Yep.
where they would talk about the games of the week and shit like that. They
Yep.
had great draft like combine stuff and everything like that. Great draft process. It's just so fucking lazy now.
Yep. It's been the same for like 5 years, I want to say 6 years. Like it's just there's been no innovation on the franchise part. And honestly, I mean, the community begs and begs and begs, and they say, okay, yeah, we're gonna get you next time. And they say that they did it, and there's very, very minor changes. It's like, oh, you can trade draft picks up to 3 years in advance now, or something small like
Yeah.
that.
Fucking
It just
bullshit.
like I want my franchise mode to feel like a live league, not just me playing game after game with no like
When you have people who are modding NBA 2K5 still, because it's kind of looked at as one of like the most just one of the best sports games of all time, and it was the last 2K that was released prior to the NFL sticking with Madden as the only football simulation for the NFL. It just it's aggravating. One,
yeah.
because if they're going to go ahead and go this way, you could just potentially make a live service, and people, it's just Madden. It doesn't have to be Madden 25, Madden 26, but that takes away the cover athlete, because if you've got guys who are your favorite player, like I speak from experience. When Drew Brees was on the cover of Madden, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting that game.
I did the midnight
And
release for that game.
yeah. And so that's one reason they would never go ahead and shift to that. But then another is because people will just keep buying it.
Yep.
Madden is in the top selling games, just like Call of Duty, every single year. And except they do a worse job than Activision of making changes and making adjustments to their game, and it's really frustrating.
Yep.
I just I'm so excited to see NCAA return, but I'm also concerned because the people who are making Madden are going to be making this game. And don't get me wrong, if I can just start a dynasty, that's really the only thing that I need to be able to do. But there is a non-zero chance they're going to fuck this up. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of my thoughts on it. But
I've done my whole hot take that it, Madden would be great as a live service game where you get roster updates every year and you can implement like gameplay improvements and stuff through updates. We see it with Fortnite, and that's been going on for like 6 years. So you could implement some of those new moves and stuff without having to release a whole new game. But like you said, it's a top selling game every year.
so they're not going to change.
And
Yeah,
they print money with
yeah,
Ultimate Team.
annual releases.
Print money.
They, and guess what? They get you the start all over an Ultimate Team every year. So people dump lots of money in that. And not just in Madden. They do that shit in FIFA too. They do it in MLB The Show. They do it in NBA.
It's basically gambling. Like
it is.
It just feels gross. And I know that like Ultimate Team and like loot box style stuff has been under a lot of scrutiny in other countries, like especially because kids are the ones who are playing a lot of these games too. And so it does seem like the practices are a little bit predatory. It definitely feels like. But so shifting away from kind of the negative here, what are your guys' favorite sports games of all time?
NFL Blitz the League.
Yeah. Oh, Blitz of the Week was so fun.
Oh yeah.
Shooting up your guys when they got a broken leg and they go back in the game and play.
It's like they did the X-ray moves before Mortal Kombat did, where you hit
Yeah.
someone hard and you'll just see like their leg snap or something. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Had a cool little story in the background type of
Yep.
thing. You could send the opposing team hookers and shit like that. So they'd be hungover the next day.
And you know, it's kind of upsetting. I understand why they don't do that anymore because of the whole thing with football and like bounties and stuff like that. Like they don't want people get an idea of football intentionally hurting others. That's why when they re-released like the Blitz games in like that cabinet, they got rid of the ability to do like late hits and shit because
That was like the
they.
funnest part,
That
though.
was
I
the
know,
best
like
part. The best part was just beating the shit out of people after the play.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like, oh, you got a touchdown on me, dog pile.
yeah.
Just
I'm gonna do fucking stone cold stunner on somebody after they
it's
run for like a 5 yard gain.
I mean, some people really need to learn the disconnection between reality and fantasy, and Blitz was that fantasy, right? Like, obviously, in reality, I would never want to wish harm on these people in the
No,
game, but in fantasy, I can have my fun. It's like GTA. I'm never gonna go out and shoot someone, but if I wanted to go on a mindless rampage, GTA is there for me.
it's a fucking video game.
Yeah.
Like, just yeah. Eric, what about you, man?
A lot of people. So Madden 04 gets a lot of hype, but like I said, dude, Madden 05, Ray Lewis on the
I
cover,
can
man.
see it.
That soundtrack fucking hit though, dude. Chevelle on that track too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. The clincher. Oh yeah, man. Just getting the clincher to like right pregame when you're about to go in and beat somebody's ass. And one thing I really like is when you use the right analog stick, you could have your lead blocker and you could direct them where you wanted them to go. So if the fullback's running
That's
from the
actually
running
really
back,
cool.
you can move the fullback along with you, and you could have him direct toward like a safety coming down, and you could spring yourself for a touchdown.
Well, and like that seems like such an intuitive feature. Like, why is that
Such
not
an
a part of?
easy feature to make, and because
Yeah,
fullbacks in fucking Madden are shit.
so dumb. They are
They
lifeless,
whiff all the
big
time.
dummies. Yeah. Ugh.
It's kind of funny, like how older Madden games have better AI logic to their
They have
characters
yeah,
than.
they have aged pretty well in terms of that AI. So like, don't get me wrong, it's a lot easier to break the game in those. Like, if you had fast players, you could just run streaks all day, and I mean, it was basically over. But I mean, that was also part of its charm. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
was they were so good. And Madden 05 is actually a great one. For me, I think it would be uh NCAA 05
Yeah,
or NCAA 06, whichever one has Reggie Bush on the cover.
I think
Was
'07 had Bush on the cover.
That's
In
right, because
'06,
it was
'06
because
was Desmond Howard with the Heisman move.
yeah. And those NCAA games, I am so extremely excited to see him come back because I just want to do a dynasty. And there's something very cool about just, you're going to get max 4 years with a player and then you just start over. Like there's just so much fluctuation between talent, and recruiting is fun. And I'm sure they're going to find ways to fuck this up. So I'm hyping it up for no reason, but there's just so many different avenues. Madden 06 is my top Madden. Truck stick was like the best thing that I've ever seen, like when it came to football at that time. And playing with Deuce was just, he just destroyed in that game. And so Deuce and Joe Horn in Madden 06 are undefeated, as was Dante Stallworth, but I always traded him away since he actually got traded away in real life. But yeah, it's definitely just a game that the Madden from, I'll say like 04, obviously that's the Michael Vick year, moving into like Madden 09, just it's probably peak football simulation. They had it right. And the games did progressively get better each and every year. There was actual features they were adding each and every year to make the game, feel more realistic. And while the game has never looked better than it looks right now, it doesn't play the way that we remember it from these games.
Ever since like 11 on, it's been copy paste.
Yeah. And it's just sad because it'll never change because people are not going to stop buying Madden.
No. NCAA 06 had that cool thing where you could create a school. I think that's the last one that had created a school. Cool. And you can make your own
high
college.
Schools in that game. And they had my high school, which is I grew up in fucking Orem, Utah. Shout out Puka Nacua, LA Rams, who is pride of Orem, Utah. But the fact that you could load in your high school and they would have like a list of like 100 high schools from each state or something like that. And there's a decent chance if you went to like a decent sized high school, it was in there. That was so cool to me. And something that just that level of customization is something that we are deeply missing right now.
I enjoyed that part of NCAA the most. That was my favorite. I make a character, you go through the high school state championship, and then you'll get your choice of like schools. Like, oh, you'll be like third string this school, but you'll be first string like this lower tier school. So you go there and you get then you balance out school and grades.
Yeah, well, and one thing that's going to be really cool too is to kind of see how they implement the transfer portal in this new NCAA, because it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that's done. But yeah, I honestly, I am hyped. I'm optimistic in some ways and very not optimistic in others. But I think that, it's a definite general consensus that those like mid 2000 Maddens were like peak football gaming, and I don't know that we're ever going to get back there, which is kind of sad.
Wasn't there a Madden that you can make your own stadiums at one point, or am I thinking?
Yeah, you could build your own stadiums and everything like that,
because FIFA had that, and I heard rumors that they were going to eventually bring that into Madden again. But
yeah, NFL Street was good too.
Those are great.
Yeah, those were a lot of fun, very zany. I kind of like the Blitz type of thing. This was actually a hockey game. It was Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. It was Blitz but hockey.
It was so fun.
It was so awesome. If you got the hat trick, you went on fire. You could do the cheats for big head mode.
You know what franchise they should bring back? They should do the backyard games again, like backyard football, backyard baseball. If you ever played those,
Sanchez, just
Pablo Sanchez,
he's
dude was the fucking beast. Oh my god, I know it's sometimes you want that simulation game where it's realistic, it's grounded, but I feel like it's important to have those wacky zany games at the same time too that you can have fun with.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we don't really get that for football anymore.
Mm-mm. Need NFL Street back.
Yeah. Or give us another Blitz the League.
Give us another Blitz the League, yes. Who was it? Midway that made Blitz?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they still around? Did they close?
It's been a while. That I don't think I've seen the Midway logo.
They used to make the Gauntlet games too. Like any games you saw in an arcade. That's who
defunct as of 2010.
Yeah,
it's been that
sense.
Long.
I was say it's been a long time.
Kombats.
Yep.
Hydro Thunder.
There was a Gauntlet game that was made past 2010, so somebody must.
It was like really grim, dark, and all that.
Dark Legacy.
No, it was just called Gauntlet.
Like a PS4 Gauntlet.
Yeah, it was just called Gauntlet.
So Gauntlet Slayer Edition was released in 2014. It's on PC too.
Yep.
So I'd be curious to see if
I don't think it's as great as the other Gauntlet games, honestly, because I remember playing it a bit.
Dark Legacy was awesome.
Dark Legacy was probably the GOAT of them all.
Just leveling up your armors and shit like that.
Yeah. So there was Gauntlet Dark Legacy, Gauntlet Seven Sorrows, and then I think after that, Midway went defunct. That would be a game that I'd love to see a revival from, because I think especially with the highlight of kind of those top down games right now, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you make it like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a $70 AAA game, but make it, I mean, fuck, even if they just did Dark Legacy for like $20, I would buy it in like 2 seconds.
Yep.
And just make it like have online capabilities. That'd be awesome. But
That's a franchise I don't think I've ever talked about in a long time.
oh yeah, it's awesome.
Y'all are welcome.
Well, I think that covers basically everything that we're going to talk about tonight. You guys have anything else you wanted to discuss here?
Nah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think we pretty much hit everything I wanted to touch on today.
Cool. Well, for everybody listening, we definitely want to shout out. We are going to have some more interviews coming up. We may potentially have one this next weekend. We're just talking with our guest about scheduling and making sure that all of that's going to go ahead and work. But we are very, very excited. And I can't tease without kind of giving away who is going to be a part of the show. We do have 2 slated for the first week of October. So October is probably going to be pretty loaded, and we're really excited to share those with you. So for everybody listening, we definitely appreciate you. Also, stay tuned. We are heading towards the holiday season, aka number 2 giveaway of Chocobo Chasers, along with we're going to be doing just one. We're going to be doing a few different things for some of our listeners, and we're also going to highlight some of our listeners who have been supporting us kind of throughout the entirety of us doing this. And so we're really excited to do that. So stay tuned, and we will catch you all next week. Thanks for listening, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Thank you.